kind of had enough of it, haven't they, Carl?
They've already had enough of it. They're talking about moving on, really. Stop the banker bashing already, they're saying. The problem is, yes, of course, we've seen a slight problem with the Barclays managers. We've dealt with that because we've seen the ouster of Bob Diamond. And now it's time to, yes, of course, pose some of the difficult questions. But we also have to avoid bashing the whole industry because, you know, it's underpinned a lot of the economic growth. That's the reason, really, for current British prosperity. So the whole idea of taking to task an industry that's underpinned that growth, it's just going too far.
Okay, and perhaps not surprisingly, The Guardian taking a bit of a different take?
Yes, indeed. So they're saying, yes, Barclays has been hit with a record fine. Yes, we've seen a couple of heads roll, but the point now is to dig deeper, have to go far beyond Barclays because we're getting news that, in fact, the rot goes as far up, possibly, as the Bank of England. There have been allegations, anyway, that the head of the Bank of England, or rather top executives in the Bank of England, have actually not discouraged, shall we say, the Barclays market rigging. So there's a bit of a, you know, we're going to see more revelations in the coming days, and The Guardian is saying, let's take advantage of this moment to do the kind of work we should have done after the crisis in 2008, because back then, obviously, as we saw Lehman Brothers, we saw a lot of the top managers of big banks, they were getting into a lot of trouble. That was our opportunity to start looking at the industry as a whole. We missed that. Our Guardian is saying, okay, now it's time for a full inquiry, and let's avoid any kind of parliamentary inquiry. That's a good start, of course, but let's avoid any kind of limited inquiry and go for a Leveson type inquiry, which would be root and branch investigation of the kinds of inner workings that are going on.
Okay, Carl. Well, another story which is back in the papers. Timbuktu wasn't long ago that not many people knew where it was, but now everyone seems to be talking about it.
Yeah, it used to be a byword for the netherworld, and now it seems it's in the headlines almost every day for all the wrong reasons. So we've seen a religious breakaway group take control of Timbuktu recently, and they've run a bit amok, destroying half of the religious sites. It's reported here in the Atlantic. And what's happening is these are World Heritage sites that have been defended by the UN. The UN is actually calling the destruction of these sites crimes against humanity, actually. They've taken it very seriously. We can see the pictures there, absolutely stunning footage.
Beautiful,
of ancient buildings. They're 1300s, they're very old, they're 14th century, most of these buildings, and they're old religious sites that are actually sacred. So the irony of all of this is that it's an extreme Islamist group destroying these structures, which actually are, some of them are mosques, and the reasoning behind it is that they don't abide by the strict rules of their rather austere interpretation of Islam.
And very, very briefly, a country we don't hear much about, and a province we hear about even less.
Ah, yes. So here we're talking about Quebec in Canada, where once upon a time asbestos was a huge industry. And now we've just learned that over the course of the celebrations of Canada Day, just a few days ago, celebrating independence, the Premier of Quebec actually took it upon himself to support a lifeline, 58 million Canadian dollars, to the asbestos industry, something that environmentalists are saying an absolute outrage because it obviously causes some ill effects to the health. The investors are saying, listen, the ill effects have been exaggerated and it's good for jobs.
Carl, thank you very much. Carl Brown with the International Papers on France 24. Just before we go to the break, let's just bring you some breaking news. We've been telling you the story to do with CERN scientists. There is now a very brief statement coming out so that they have now discovered that subatomic particle that could be the Higgs boson. There's a press conference which has been going on in Geneva at the moment to reveal details. It's a highly technical press conference, apparently, but once we manage to digest it and understand exactly what they're saying, we'll bring that to you, of course, here on France 24. Still to come then, a look ahead at a day of high drama in UK banking as the Barclays scandal deepens. That's in business right after the break.